What if I told you that you could get Facebook to target customers that are exactly like your previous customers, but at the moment they don't know anything about who you are or what you sell? But Facebook knows that they could purchase from you. Sounds pretty appealing, doesn't it? Well, stick around because in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you exactly how you can do just that. Hi guys, my name is Ethan Bridge. I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guide behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Today, I'm going to be talking about everything you need to know about Facebook ad lookalike audiences. I'm going to start off by talking about what lookalike audiences actually are. I'm going to then talk about why they are so beneficial to you and your business. And then finally, I'm going to finish off by actually telling you how to create these lookalike audiences, because what good is knowing how good they are without knowing how to create one. So without any further ado, what on earth is a Facebook lookalike audience? Now, I've made a previous episode where I've actually spoken about Facebook custom audiences. Now, you have to have created a Facebook custom audience before you can go ahead and create a lookalike audience. But a lookalike audience is essentially an audience based upon one of these custom audiences that you have created. So Facebook will look at that custom audience and find other customers on their platform. Now, it can obviously find this people through pixel data it's gained upon the individuals that use its platform, but because it's got all this data, it can find customers who have similar attributes to those who are already in your custom audience. It's ridiculously powerful. Ridiculously. 10 years ago, imagine if you could have been this targeted with your advertising. Literally wasn't possible. You'd put up a radio ad and just hope somebody would be listening and find your ad interesting. Now you can get to the point with your ad targeting that you're targeting people who at the moment have no idea who you are. But Facebook knows they will be interested because they have similar attributes to people who have purchased from you. It's crazy. Well, in my opinion, it's crazy. You might not find it as interesting, but just the fact that there is this data available to you and your business is so powerful, and you need to be making the most of it. The reason I like it most is because you can target a cold audience beyond interest and behavior targeting. If you're familiar with Facebook ads, you'll know all about behavior and interest targeting. If you know more or less who your target audience is, you can target through behaviors and through certain interests and hope that you will find a lead that way. But a lookalike audience can go beyond that and take out that guessing process for you. It can even be so specific that you actually get to target how closely you want your lookalike audience to be to that of which is in your custom audience. So you get an option between 1 and 10%. 1 being as similar to your custom audience as possible, so it's extremely targeted and is going to be a smaller group of people, all the way to 10, where these people are still going to be similar, but it's a much broader audience and the interests are more vague. So although the people you are targeting are a cold audience, they aren't super cold because you are actually using data from a warm audience who have potentially already purchased from you, so they are the exact audience. So therefore you can more or less consider this audience that you are targeting a lukewarm audience, let's call it. So it's not cold, but it's not warm. It's lukewarm. Or if you don't like that term, they are simply customers who have no idea who you are, so they are cold, but Facebook knows they are very much potential customers, so they're in between cold and warm. Another great thing about the lookalike audience, it can be a hell of a lot cheaper than interest and behavior targeting. Now, I'm not promising this because it's different for everyone. You'd need to test it and work it out for yourself. But in my personal experience, I found it to be much cheaper than behavior and interest targeting. Now, cheaper in the aspect of the fact of converting a customer. So your return on ad spend. Not specifically that it's going to be cheaper to target to 1,000 people. That doesn't always tend to be the case, but because it can be incredibly targeted and it's based off of a warm audience already, it's much more likely that the customers you target are going to convert. So your return on ad spend is going to be much higher, meaning it's going to cost you less to convert a customer in comparison to an interest or behavior targeted ad. But as I said, not the case for everyone. You'd have to test it and find out for yourself. Just in personal experiences, I found it's been much cheaper to do it this way. So if you want to spend less money finding a new customer, this is a great way to do so. And finally, this is my favorite reason for using a lookalike audience, is you can actually find people who are similar to people who have already bought from you. You can create a custom audience based on a customer list. If you run a Shopify store, if you use ClickFunnels, if you essentially have a product or a service that you sell, you should have a customer list, and you can create a custom audience based on that customer list, and from that, use that custom audience to make your lookalike audience. So you're making a lookalike audience based on customers who have already bought from you. This is the most powerful way to use a lookalike audience, in my opinion. So you know these customers that have already bought from you are your perfect audience because they have already bought from you. These are the people you are attempting to find with your ads. So now you can give that data to Facebook. Facebook will then analyze everyone it's had data on through their Facebook pixels and find an audience who match your customers. You cannot get more targeted than that with cold audience targeting. And this is why I don't really like to call it a cold audience that you're targeting, because you can safely assume that these individuals are going to be interested because the attributes that Facebook are using to actually find these people are similar to your current customers who have already bought from you. So it's likely that the people it then shows your ad to through the lookalike audience are going to convert because they are based on current customers. I know I'm sort of repeating myself there, but it just goes to show how important this is and why I like it so much. If you can target people who look like a current customer, why on earth wouldn't you? It eliminates the guessing process and any form of worry you may have had about a behavioural or interest target, because with that, you may target people who are, let's say you are selling makeup, because this is just an easy one. You may select an interest of makeup or a beauty influencer that you like. Now, although you know these people are interested or could potentially be interested in your product, you don't know they are the perfect customer. You don't know they are looking to buy your product. But with a lookalike audience based on a customer list, it's so much more targeted, and the people it shows your ad to are exactly like your current customers. So it eliminates that guessing process of, oh, is this targeted person actually going to be interested? And that also goes full circle as to why you'll get a higher return on ad spend, because it's much more likely you're going to be able to convert a customer through a lookalike audience based on a customer list. Now, I've mentioned all of this stuff about making a custom audience from a customer list, and what good would all that information be if I didn't actually tell you how to make one of these lookalike audiences? So now I'm going to tell you exactly how to do just that, all the way from creating the custom audience to then using that custom audience to create your lookalike audience. So as I mentioned, firstly, you need to actually create a custom audience. You cannot create a lookalike audience if you haven't built a custom audience in the first place. So obviously you need to head over to the Facebook Ad Manager, you hit the little audience tab, then click on create an audience, click on custom audience, and then under use your sources, you will see that there is the option to select customer file. That is the one you're going to click on because we want to create a custom audience based on a customer list we already have. Now, the next step is pretty self-explanatory. You obviously need to import your customer list that you should already have stored on your computer or wherever you store your customer information. For more information on this, I have made a previous episode in the past, as I mentioned, on how to actually create and benefit from custom audiences. So if you want to learn about that in a little more detail, head over and listen to that episode because I do go into this in much more detail over there and tell you more about custom audiences. So now you obviously need to follow the steps and add in your customer information. But once you have filled in all of that information, simply click next and then save that as your audience. Name it something that is obviously memorable, that you're obviously going to be able to find that when you go through to select it when you're creating your lookalike audience, but give it a good name that you aren't going to lose. I've given stupid names to my audiences in the past and thought, what on earth is that? And then had to go back and create them again. So give it a good name. You avoid all of those mistakes that I made where I've just gone, damn it, I'm going to have to create this audience again because I've just lost it because I haven't given it a good name. Easy mistake to make. Don't make it. But now we have created our custom audience from our customer file, we can create a lookalike audience using that custom audience. So again, you're going to need to head over to the audience tab. Then you're going to have to click on create an audience. And this time you need to select lookalike audience. Who'd have guessed it? So now you're going to be given the screen to set up your lookalike audience, and it's really, really self-explanatory, and it's pretty easy to do from this point. So firstly, you need to select your lookalike audience source. So your lookalike source is the custom audience that Facebook is going to pull the data from. So you obviously want to select the custom audience you have just made using your customer file. That is your lookalike audience source. You then have an option where you can select where you want your lookalike audience to be based, so the actual region and location. Let's say, for example, your company doesn't ship to certain regions, you want to exclude these, or if you only want to include the big countries like the UK, the US, Australia, those ones, select those regions. And then finally, you get to pick from that 1 to 10%, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. So just to highlight that again, 1% would be a very, very targeted audience, very niche group of people who are as similar to that custom audience you have just created as possible. So if you do this one, it's going to be a much smaller group of people, but much more targeted. So it will have a higher CPM, should have a higher CPM, I should say, but the people that you are targeting are much more likely to convert. And then that goes all the way up to 10%, with 10% being a much broader audience, yet still similar to your custom audience, because that's obviously where it's pulling the data from, but this is going to be a much broader group of people. So 1%, 2% and 3% are going to be your much more targeted groups of individuals, and as you go further on from that, yes, the audience is going to get broader, you'll have a lower CPM because you have more people to target, but you're less likely to convert. So that's the trade-off you're going to have to make there. But I suggest split testing. Have a 1%, have a 3%, have a 5%, have a 10%. Have 4 different lookalike audiences and test them to see which one works best for you. With Facebook ads, I mention this time and time again, you can't just create one and expect it to be brilliant off the bat. You have to split test, you have to find what's best for you, and then you can hope to convert. With that being said, you also have to have that great creative. If your creative sucks, your lookalike audience isn't going to work. You have to have a compelling ad in the first place for it to actually convert, because that is what people are seeing. The people you're showing your ad to may be the exact people that want to buy from you, but if your ad is rubbish, they're not going to convert. So you need to have everything in order. Once you know you have a great ad, obviously then you can start to split test your lookalike audiences on the percentage rates and then see which one works best for you. But that is how you create a lookalike audience from a customer file, and that is exactly how you target individuals who are a completely cold audience. They currently don't know who you are or about your product, yet Facebook knows they are your ideal audience. And that wraps up today's video on Facebook lookalike audiences. I hope you've learned a little bit about what lookalike audiences are, why they are so beneficial, and then how you can actually create one to target people who are similar to customers that you already have. They're extremely beneficial to you in your business. And from my experience in the past, they've been one of the most profitable ad campaigns that I've created. Now, if you did enjoy today's video, as you can see, I'm a very new creator here on YouTube, so I'd really, really appreciate if you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and turned on post notifications. That way you will never miss a video when I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But if you did enjoy this video, this is actually a part of my podcast series from Social Media Marketing School. This content is actually released on the audio podcast a couple of days early. So if you want to consume this content a couple of days early, make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast. It's available on Apple, Spotify, Google, pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts. I'll leave links to those in the description, but make sure you subscribe over there if you want to consume this content sooner. But I just want to finish off by saying, if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you all for tuning in, and I see you in the next one.